So step 1, the AWS resources deployed in this lab will be configured in this file. The VPC resource has already been defined. You'll be configuring the AWS subnet and the EC2 instance resources in the lab. Click the insert code below and the code snippet to define the following variables, then click next. So we're adding 3 variables, one called server name, one called subnet CIDR, and then one called AZ. Let's pull this down here a bit. These variables will be referenced in the main TF file in order to configure the subnet. The variables defined in this file do not have a default value defined. Without the default, you'll need to define the value for each of the variables so that the Terraform apply command. You will need to define the values of each variable within the Terraform apply CLI command or on a separate TF files.
JustStakey1234567 says, "Hey Mike, hey everyone.
Hey,
Waiting
just a guy.
here. This plugin is very useful."
So because we haven't defined a default, it's going to prompt us. Is that what I'm seeing? But yeah, otherwise if we had a TFRs file, it would pull it from that file. If we define the variables using both options in the lab, okay. Code tool. Right, we're going to insert this code into the subnet resource to define the subnet resource. So we're adding AWS subnet, calling it example. We've got the ID that it's getting from this creation. We've got the CIDR subnet that it's getting from. Well, it should be getting it from here. And then, yeah, those two it's getting from that file too. The AWS subnet resource definition references each variable defined in the variables TF file. The var server name is string interpolated, and it will create a new tag name. The resolved value will read development subnet. So then we can apply it, I'm guessing. Right, if we click the following command, it will change directory and run the init command. So that's initialized our Terraform. We've got our Terraform lock created. We've got the providers pulled down. And now we can apply, and we have to pass in the variables in the command line. Notice the var equals flag is being passed 3 times to the apply command, each instance of a variable being passed to the command line. Auto improve it instructs Terraform to deploy the changes automatically instead of prompting you for a do you want to create? You've got to type in yes. Right, then we're going to insert the following variables into the variables TF file. So we're adding AMI IDs so we can get the OS images. We're adding a disk so that we can install it. And OS types, instance size. Okay, so click there. These variables will be referenced in the main TF file. AMI IDs is the map which has the machine images IDs. Disk is an object type variable that will store key value pairs relating to the EC2 instance disk. For example, we can make it encrypted. And then OS type is a string variable that will determine which AMI ID will be used for the EC2 instance. So that is the ones we're having available. And then this is the one that we're going to use. Okay, and then instance size, this is like T2 micro, which one we're going to use, and it's got default. EC2 monitoring, this is a boolean to determine whether or not monitoring is configured on the instance. Now we're going to insert this code. Hey, well done on the streak. So we're going to insert a instance. So this will create an instance using the variables that we've defined. It's going to look up in the map the IDs that we've got, and it's going to pick the one that we want to use. We've got an instance size T2 micro, monitoring, whether or not to enable monitoring, the security group that it's going to create, and the subnet that it's going to create, and then the disk settings, and finally server name as the tag. Did I insert that? I don't think I did. Insert code. Okay. So yeah, now we've got the server. And then the AWS instance resource defined above utilizes template references and variables to configure the EC2 instance. So these are variables. This is a template. Lookup function will accept 2 arguments. Yeah, we've already figured that one out. We've already figured out the OS type because we've actually read the code. Thank you for the hydrate. And now we're going to insert this code into variables.
Test.
Emote chat. Okay, if I remember how to set that up. Dun, dun, dun. There you go.
Test
so this
2.
one. Oh, I think you can bypass the emotes because you're VIP. That's quite cool.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah, everyone else is like forced to use emotes now for like the next 4 minutes. So these are the variables that we're adding to the TFR file
Sabotage
so that you
myself.
don't have to pass them in. I've done it twice. So yeah. By default, Terraform will search the current working directory for any Terraform TFR file. If it's present in this file and the values defined within it will be used to supply your Terraform variables. These value types will match the variable types defined in the variable TF file. The AMI IDs and instance size variables are missing from this file. These values have both been defined in the variable in default variables in variables.tf, so they don't require values. If you wish to override the default value stored in variable tf, you can either pass in the variable value via command line or define a variable with a different value in Terraform tf-vars. And then finally we're going to output some variables, so insert that. We're going to get the private IPs of anything that gets spun up. And then we're going to click the following to apply the new changes. We need to Terraform apply. And that should stitch everything together. So it's going to create all these things. Getting a new instance. There's the tags it's going to add. Okay, so it's made all of that. We've got an output of our private IP. The input and output variables have all been applied and resolved during the deployment. If you've successfully defined Terraform variables and specified their values using Terraform CLI, and the Terraform tf-vars config file, return to the lab browser and run the validation check. Which it has done. That was it. So yeah, main takeaway then. So if we define variables that we want to use, if they don't have defaults, then like OS type needs to be defined in here. So OS type equals whatever you want it to equals.